From queso fresco to crema mexicana, Cacique's products are everywhere, and Gil de Cardenas is running it from a new headquarters in Irving.
Has anything surprised you about being in Texas?
The weather. Can't get past the weather.
So what's it like, uprooting a company after 50 years in California?
I had no gray hair before this decision. Now look at me.
How many states did you initially consider?
We started with 118 sites nationally that met our criteria. 8 states: Texas, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Colorado, Idaho, Kentucky, New York, and I want to say Georgia. And when we got to Amarillo, we kind of felt something a little different there.
You'll hear why in a moment, but to understand the decision, you need to know his parents and where he was born.
What was their life like in Cuba?
Oh, that was very challenging. I remember times, for example, where my mom would make lunch or dinner and there was no food for her. My sisters and I would eat and she would sit with us, but she wouldn't eat. And
he still remembers communist soldiers coming to school, trying to prove there's no God.
so they would do it is bow your heads and pray to God to give you candy. But lift your heads, does anyone have candy? Of course not. So now we're going to go by and please ask the state or the government for a piece of candy. Oh, you're 8 years old, 7 years old, the indoctrination has started.
And it might have taken hold had the family not left for Miami in 1971.
And then I walk in the grocery store and I see food. As much food as you could ever want.
Settling in Southern California, his father saw an opportunity. Gilbert Sr. fixed up an old plant and started making 80 pounds of cheese a day.
He would go door to door and sell a pound at a time, hoping that next week it was 2.
Every day for a year and a half with no help.
I never heard him complain. We'd only see him on weekends.
That's a backbreaking schedule.
Yeah, but he did it happily.
Yeah.
It is.
Can you imagine how proud he was to watch his son Gil open a $90 million dairy plant last year? And to know there's a Cacique product on 8 out of every 10 grocery stores in the country.
Welcome, valued customer.
But Gil had to fight for every inch on the big grocer's shelves.
You got to show him the data. And even then it's kind of like, let's try it. Let's, again, a few stores and a few more and a few more. And before you know it, you're in the entire chain.
Follow instructions on pin pad.
At what point did you think about moving?
About 6 years ago.
Having conquered the West Coast, Cacique was getting interest from grocers in Florida, New York, Michigan.
All the states that we would have a difficult time shipping into because of fuel costs, freight costs. So Texas, Amarillo, for example, has the 3rd largest milk shed in the country. So we have milk available to us an hour away, as much as we need.
And like the dairy plant, executives needed to be closer to customers too.
So we wanted something near the airport for travel purposes.
And sure enough, you can see DFW from the new headquarters in Irving. Cacique offered to take all its employees to Texas, but some couldn't make the move.
But here's the cool part. The people that did come all bought a house. None of them had a house, but it was theirs. It just dawned on me like, oh my gosh, you can do that here. Yeah. You can actually, and they have.
Like the wide open spaces Texas is famous for, the move has opened Cacique to a world of possibilities.
Where do you see the company going?
Mexican food continues to rise. It'll continue to be part of the Americana that it is today. We haven't started talking yet about overseas, other markets, other places that are not grocery stores. We just have to continue to stay focused on who we are, what got us here, continue to improve, and leave the rest to Him, and we'll be there.